The unfortunate part of this work was the fact that the actual help we provided was only a small drop in an ocean of need. That although hundreds of thousands needed help, realistically only 1 or 2% received it. Furthermore, quite often a Jew or even an entirely Polonized man of Jewish descent, after 3, 8, 10 months or a year of Zegota help, was finally caught on the street by the Gestapo agents and killed. And all that effort was in vain. I myself experienced such things and considered them everyday occurrences. We also encountered people's indifference and unfriendliness. They asked, "Why do it?" And if someone would ask me today, after all these years, how it was possible, I would say that a certain percentage of people in that society, in spite of the terrible conditions we all lived under, were able to risk their own and their families' lives, just to be equal to the task of living up to their own ethical and human requirements.
Too little was done. Much more could have been done. But in order to do it, goodwill was needed on both sides. First of all, many Poles wanted to help. They wanted but were afraid to. There is no antidote for fear. Of course, there were some who did not want to help. On the other hand, when we were going to the ghetto to pick up those children, there were terrible scenes happening. One mother wanted a child to leave while her father did not. The grandmother wanted, the mother did not. They were asking what was the guarantee. What kind of a guarantee could I give them? I could not even give them a guarantee that I would get past the sentry. I was escorting the children and infants past the sentry in a very secretive way. Great appreciation should be given to the building caretakers who were located between the ghetto and the area inside. Thanks to their courage, I was able to go through. But I always could have come across an anti-Semitic caretaker who could have killed me and the Jewish child too. I could not give a Jewish family any guarantee a child would live. In those cases, very often, I was not given a child, and I was left frustrated and often crying. The next day, when I went back to the building to try again to convince them, it was too late.
At the Warsaw Castle, we spoke with the president of the Academy of Sciences and former Home Army liaison with Zegota, Professor Alexander Geszto.
We had in our team some people who played an important role in the Zegota organization. I think about Władysław Bartoszewski, Henryk Woliński, and other people. Some of them died, some of them still are witnesses of this very, very important, morally important. And I think that precisely at this point, it was for us a kind of civic duty, of course, to help and to inform the world about the catastrophe and the approaching catastrophe, and then about the Holocaust.
It was through Zegota that the Polish underground maintained contact with the Jewish underground, and the Poles informed the world about the genocide. Radio transmitters beamed the news to England. Underground publications were microfilmed and brought overland across Europe by couriers such as Jan Nowak, Jerzy Lerski, and Jan Karski. On December 10, 1942, the Polish government in exile informed the United Nations the persecution of the Jewish minority now in progress in Poland constitutes a separate page of Polish martyrdom. Himmler's order that 1942 be the year of liquidation of at least 50% of Polish Jewry is being carried out with utter ruthlessness and a barbarity never before seen in world history. The messages were brought out from Poland, but they were ignored. The ghettos were destroyed. The trains continued to transport victims to the camps. The outside world did not come to the aid of the Jews.
It could be said that not doing anything good in response to extreme need is already an act of evil. Believing Christians know that we confess to the sin of omission. That means that if you have renounced something, not helping the sick, the dying, or the imperiled, although you did nothing wrong, you are guilty. Viewed in a very subtle yet deeply ethical perspective, the whole of Europe committed the sin of omission. To a higher degree, those who could have done more, and to a smaller degree, those with lesser capabilities. The enormous sin of omission was committed by the governments of the United States and Great Britain, a fact which is today well documented by American, English, Jewish, German, and French scholars. The larger sin of omission was committed by the ones with the greatest resources, the smaller sin by the ones who could do less, but did nothing at all.
Here in Israel, place of refuge for most of the Jewish survivors of the Holocaust, recognition and honor has been given to Zegota as a movement and to individual rescuers. On top of this hill in western Jerusalem is Yad Vashem, a sacred memorial to the 6 million Jewish victims of the Nazi genocide, and as well a place to honor those non-Jews who risked their lives to save Jewish lives. Director of Yad Vashem's Research Center and former member of the Jewish Fighting Organization of the Warsaw Ghetto, Professor Yisrael Gutman.
The important point in the existence and the establishment of Zegota is the fact that it is a rare phenomenon in occupied Europe that such organized form of activity was created. In Poland, the effort to rescue Jews, to save Jews, was much more dangerous, much more difficult than in other occupied countries. And despite the fact there were many people, relatively many people, who do this special yet work in the difficult and the barbaric conditions of occupied Poland. And even if the results are very modest, it is, in my opinion, an expression of great human spirit. And it is a kind of glory for the Polish people, even if it is only an achievement of a very small minority.
Zegota consisted of a few dozen co-workers plus hundreds of direct liaison persons. These individuals had further contacts, which overall created a new historical standard for such efforts. First, by extending a hand toward the persecuted people in their hour of need. Second, there was the participation of Christians, often practicing Catholics, who, along with atheists, agnostics, socialists, and revolutionaries, created a common movement for human rights, which was a mutual expression of human solidarity. And third, when you speak of history, you learn that you cannot speak in clear black and white terms, rather in many subtle shades. I would like to close my remarks with this statement. The Bible speaks of the destruction of Sodom because not even 10 righteous people were found to save the city. Both Jews and Christians of all denominations are aware of this. In our horrible Sodom, a Sodom which was one of unfettered crime against mankind, genocide, a Sodom which was played out on the corpses of millions, we do find more than 10 righteous people. There are thousands of trees in Yad Vashem, which attest to moral readiness, to one's acceptance of hardship, risk, even death. So, our culture and civilization did not go the way of Sodom, thanks to these righteous people. But I would warn Christians against smugness and self-satisfaction. We cannot say that we did everything that we should have done. He who gave his life, helping his fellow man, can say that he gave everything. But those who lived, including myself, can only say that we did what we were able to do. The living person will never accomplish everything he can. Nevertheless, let it be a lesson that under all such historical conditions, we must act, extend a helping hand, save each other, work together, because on this earth, as it is believed by both Jews and Christians, the greatest value is that of human life.
In September 1995, a memorial was erected in Warsaw to honor Zegota. Those who were part of the organization, as well as those who helped on their own. For the word Zegota came to stand for all secret help to Jews in Poland. Today, school children come here to learn about those whose actions embodied these sacred words. Greater love hath no man than that he lay down his life for a friend. These things I command you, that you love one another. As it has also been said, he who saves one life, it is as if he has saved the world.